Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 15th episode of the StackToHeap podcast. This episode is going to be pretty different from our usual episodes. I wanted to talk about books that developers like, be it technical, non-fiction, or fiction. So, I reached out to many to see if they can send across a video with them describing their top three favorite books. This episode is the first part in the series, which I hope to do now and then as I keep receiving videos from those I have reached out to. If you have any feedback on this format or would like to send across a video with your favorite books, please do get in touch. So let's get on with today's compilation.
Hey, I'm Anushree Subramani. I'm a senior front-end dev and I'm based in London. I have 3 book recommendations for you today. Number 1 is It's About Damn Time by Arlan Hamilton. So the tagline of the book was how to turn being underestimated into your greatest advantage. Being a brown woman in tech, I get underestimated a lot, so I could really relate to that, and I was really curious to know what the book was about. And it did not disappoint. I mean, the book is incredible. So it talks about Arlan's journey and how she went on to start her own VC firm, which backs people who identify as women, people of color, LGBTQ plus, and I mean, her journey is awe-inspiring, and she just keeps dropping these knowledge bombs throughout the book. Like, I kid you not, I was literally getting goosebumps. I'm not even exaggerating. You have to check it out. Number 2, Running Like a Girl by Alexandra Hemingsley. If you are a woman and you want to start running, this is your go-to book. I was like, why did I not know about this book sooner? That was like my exact feeling when I listened to this book. So Alexandra has this style where she's brutally honest, really funny, and you just feel like you're getting insights about how to get started with running from your best friend. That's how approachable, friendly, and nice the book is. So do check it out. And the third recommendation that I have is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. So David Goggins is often referred to as the fittest man of America. He underwent training for Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, and a bunch of really cool things which I can't even list down here. He even went on to do some ultra marathons and stuff like that. He has achieved a lot of things. So if you really want to, like, he's all about like pushing your boundaries in terms of physically as well as mentally. So if that's what you're looking to doing as well, this book is really inspiring. Like, he talks about mental toughness and a lot of cool stuff throughout the book, so you have to check it out. A quick bonus that I want to give you is the Coding Career Handbook by Sean Wang. So if you are a developer and you really want to like up your game, this is the go-to book. It has so many tips and tricks and tactics, and it's just amazing. I'm in the process of reading it, and it's really good. You have to see it if you really want to up your game. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope you check these books out and enjoy them. Bye.
Hi, I'm Archana Ravikumar and I'm a developer. I also like reading books. So today I'm going to share with you my top 3 reads from this year. So until last year, I used to mostly read in like the books in the murder mystery genre. But this year, I'm doing a couple of reading challenges, which actually help me discover a lot of books in different genres. So I'm going to share some of those with you as recommendations. So the first book that I'd like to talk about is called The Phoenix Project. It's quite a popular book. A lot of us would have heard about it or read it already. So I'm a little late to the party, but I finally got around to reading it. So the book actually talks about DevOps philosophy and something called the 3 ways, which will help your org become more agile and be ready for changes and change in like requirements or org structure, whatever. Why I like this book is because it's not like other technical books where they talk about some philosophies or theories. This is actually quite an engaging read because it is narrated as a story. It is narrated by this person who's just become a CTO, and he's trying to balance things between, he's trying to help his team balance between delivering new features and sort of firefighting because their systems are not stable, they keep going down. And so it's a story of how they figure out what to do and how to do it well. It's a really good and engaging read. I learned a lot from the book. The next book that I like to talk about is called Bad Blood. Again, this is quite popular. The story is quite popular. It was in the media quite a bit last year, in the American media. So it's a story of the startup called Theranos and its founder Elizabeth Holmes. So Elizabeth Holmes, she starts her career as like a really promising young person, and then she founds this company called Theranos, which is in the health space, and uh, they're trying to build these small devices which will help people um, take blood tests from the comfort of their homes. And then in this journey, while this company is being built, a lot of things go wrong. So this book, I learned like a lot of things from this book. Things like how companies are run in the Silicon Valley, and how hard the startup life is and all of that. But another aspect to it is how like a lot of people in the company, like the developers and researchers and all of them who are working in this company, they're really uncomfortable with what's happening, and they try to blow the whistle, and they are actually like the founder and her partner, they go after these people and they go through like a really tough time. And somehow this journalist John Carreyrou, he finds out about the story, and then he writes this book and a series of articles which put this story into the spotlight. So both the founder and her partner are going to be tried this year in the US courts. So I don't know how that will go, but it's a really interesting read. It's actually like reading a thriller, except that it actually happened in real life. Okay. The next book that I have to recommend to you, it is not serious. It's like a fictional book. It's this book called Girl, Woman, Other. Uh, and the author is Bernardine Evaristo. So I'm showing it to you on my phone because I actually didn't read the book. I listened to it on Audible. It's a fictional story which is an account of the lives of different Black women who live in the United Kingdom. So they were either born there or they were born somewhere else and they moved there looking for like a better life. And they're all like really different people. Some of their stories are interconnected, some are not. But what's interesting is like they all come from different backgrounds. They're doing different things in their lives, and some of them are straight, some of them are not. Some of them are still figuring out what their life should be like. It's like a really refreshing read, and from what I understand, the book is actually the style of prose is very different. And also, this is one of the two books that won the Booker Prize last year. It's like a really enjoyable read, and I felt like very liberated when I finished the book. So I totally recommend this book as well. Those are my recommendations, and I hope you like them. I hope you check them out. And thanks for watching my video. Thanks. Bye.
Hi, I'm Rima, and here's my top three favorite books. So the first one on my list is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. This is a historical fiction book that is set during World War II in Nazi Germany. It follows the story of a young girl called Lysen, and it's a coming of age story of her during the World War that's happening. Interestingly, this book is actually narrated by none other than Death himself, and how he's intrigued by the life of this little girl, who he first meets when she's beside the graveyard of her younger brother. That's where he actually sees her steal a book from the grave digger, and he starts calling her the book thief. So this entire story follows her life, how she gets affected by the events that occur around her, and how the people in her life inspire her and make her discover her passion for reading and love for the written word. It's a very beautifully written book, and it's definitely one that I really love. Gives you a heartache, but it's one of my top favorite reads. The next book in my list is The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini. Now, Khalid is a very beautiful writer. He's written two other books, and I've read A Thousand Splendid Suns as well from him, and that was something that I also really like. But The Kite Runner is one of my top favorites. So this book is set in Afghanistan, and it starts off by telling the story of two young boys, Amir and Hassan. Amir is from a wealthy household, and Hassan and his dad work as servants in Amir's house too. But these two young boys form like a very close bond of friendship, and the entire story is about. It's narrated by Amir, and it's about friendship. It's about betrayal. and redemption. A very beautifully written book, and there is this one particular line that Hassan first utters to Amir. He says, "For you, 1,000 times over." And Khalid places this particular line in several, places in the book, and I definitely got emotional whenever I read this particular quote. It's one of my favorite quotes from the book. So it's one of these books that many years down the line, even if you forget the story, you will not forget how this book made you feel. And for the last book in my top three, this is a very light read compared to the other two. It's from a trilogy. It's The False Prince by Jennifer Nielsen. And this trilogy is the Ascendance trilogy. And I think it's becoming a series because she's releasing like the fourth book this year. The first book in the trilogy is something that I generally wouldn't think I would like, because this was actually meant for middle grade kids, and I picked this up during my college years. But I enjoyed it, and I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. So the story is about a little boy called Sage, who's an orphan, and he gets recruited by a nobleman or a regent from the king's regent. So the regent is actually hiring or picking up young orphan boys so that he can pit them against each other, and they're competing to become the false prince, or to impersonate the prince in the kingdom. So it's a very fun read. It's very interesting to follow Sage's antics, his mischievousness and stubbornness, how he breaks all rules possible. Uh, and interestingly, his character was inspired by a troubled youth that the author met in one of the programs, and how she said that everyone thought he wouldn't really succeed and he would break all the rules, and that's exactly how Sage was envisioned, and how that character came forward. So it was a very fun read. It was interesting, even though it was meant for kids. I mean, it's a book that you can pick up anytime and still enjoy. So these are my top three favorite books.
Hello everyone, I am Shreya Chakraborty. I'm a data analyst slash engineer in JustEatTakeaway.com in Amsterdam. I moved into this role the start of this year, prior to which I was a full-blown data engineer for more than a year in Takeaway. Prior to which I was working as a software engineer along with Manoj in this company called Indix for 3.5 years. 3 fun things about me. I love fries. My colleagues actually gifted me a fries over guys throw pillow last birthday. I binge on K-pop. I am somewhat trained in Kathak, which is one of the Indian classical dance forms. Thank you, Manoj, for having me in this video firstly. Let me talk to you about 3 books which have had the most impact on me in the recent times. The first one is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. This book describes the journey of a successful author who, after a failed marriage, falls in love with another woman, coincidentally on one of her own book tours, and decides to marry her and start a life with her. The preface of this book, she describes a cheetah in a zoo that has been bred along with a group of dogs, so much so that when the cheetah is actually in the pinnacle of its adult life, it doesn't even realize the ferocity that it was born with. Tell me that you have not been in such a situation in life before. I think throughout reading this book, it made me realize that the further that you run away from yourself, the messier your life is. We should not shy away from hard things. That's how life is meant to be. The second book that I would want to talk to you about is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And coincidentally, this was gifted to me by my boyfriend. I think it's safe to establish here that I was having issues in life. I'm kidding. Has it been eye-opening about majorly the 2 misconceptions that I have in life? 1, successes are overnight. And 2, someone else will come and fix my life. I'll read out to you my favorite passage from the book actually. On any given day, you may struggle with your habits because you're too busy, or too tired, or too overwhelmed, or hundreds of other reasons. Over the long run, however, the real reason you fail to stick with habits is that your self image gets in the way. That is why you can't get too attached to one version of your identity. Progress requires unlearning. Becoming the best version of yourself requires you to continuously edit your beliefs and to upgrade and expand your identity. The third and final book that I want to talk about is Mind Without Fear by Rajat Gupta. It's a very fascinating memoir of the managing director of McKinsey. And throughout the book, you realize that he is a very hardworking and a self-established kind of a man. But unfortunately, he gets accused of insider trading and is put behind bars. He talks about his childhood in the initial chapters, followed by his immigrant college phase, the start of his career, and finally all the achievements that he gets in McKinsey. He's also the pioneer of a lot of good initiatives, including Indian School of Business in Hyderabad and the Global Fund, which he sets up along with Bill Gates to fund fighting tuberculosis, malaria, and AIDS throughout the world. But the key takeaway from this book again would be that you cannot really run away from the downs of life. Sometimes life is just not fair. Well, that's about it. Thank you, and please wear masks, everybody.
Hi, my name is Suganti. I work as a solutions engineer with VMware. I take care of technical pre-sales activities for the Modern Application Platforms business unit across Australia and New Zealand. I started my career as a software engineer in ThoughtWorks Chennai. That's where I got the privilege of working with amazing people like Manoj. I'm going to talk about top 3 books that I recommend to other devs. The books that I'm going to talk about are not just for developers, but also for non-technical folks who engage with software development teams. Number 1 on my list is Getting Naked by Patrick Lencioni. This book talks about being vulnerable, letting go of ego and fears. I've been a consultant throughout my career. Being in a customer-facing role, it is important to build trust with your customer. Vulnerability is critical in establishing trust. Yet, people find it hard to be vulnerable and talk about what they don't know. No one knows everything. It is better to ask obvious questions than make wrong assumptions that could sabotage the project. In this book, Pat talks about top 3 fears that stop people from being vulnerable. If you want to learn about what it takes to be a trusted consultant, I strongly recommend this book. Number 2 on my list is Extreme Programming Explained by Kent Beck. Extreme programming is not just an engineering concept. The 5 values of XP are communication, simplicity, feedback, courage, and respect. XP comprises of practices like pair programming, TDD, CI/CD, iterative development. I recommend this book to anyone who want to learn the principles behind extreme programming practices. Kent Beck has articulated really well about why the practices are done and the value it adds to the business. XP is a cultural shift for the whole organization, not just for the devs. It benefits organizations to deliver better quality products faster and iterate on products based on feedback from user behavior. Hence, this book is not just for technical folks, but also for people, especially for people in leadership who want their teams to be agile and deliver value faster. The next book that I want to talk about is Release It. This book focuses on what engineers need to do to get their software to a production-ready state, where it can actually be deployed to a production environment safely. This book talks about how to create systems that run with fewer failures and recover when bad things happen, like earthquakes or network failure. In this day and age, majority of the services are running in the cloud. When multiple components talk to each other, there's more room for failure than the old school monoliths, which were not talking to many other services. How does the software application react to these failures? Is the software application resilient to handle the chaos? This book talks about patterns and anti patterns that could help build resilient web applications. The thing that I like about this book is that it has breadth of information about different patterns and anti patterns. It also has depth of information about how these patterns work and the use cases where it could be applied. That's all I have for today. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Varadarajan. I'm a software developer at Shreyas and an options trader in the US and Indian markets. Top books. The first one would be Systematic Trading by Robert Cover. In this book, he presents a systematic way of investing in the financial markets by focusing on position sizing and diversification, which are arguably the only thing you will need to survive in the market. The second one is on price action. Price action is the method of analyzing the price movements of a security by using charts. This book is considered the Bible of price action. It's called Reading Price Charts Bar by Bar by Al Brooks. Um, this is a tough read. So the author starts out by analyzing one single price bar at a time, enriching it with the recent price action context to anticipate and position yourself better. Thank you.